What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arts. We have some topics to cover for you, and I think that this is the biggest news we've gotten recently outside of the Russell Westbrook update where, Danny Green, I covered last episode, Danny Green said that he wouldn't have been playing over guys he should have been playing over. But I think these are the biggest updates or conversations that have been added into the mix for this upcoming season, and that is that there's not much time left. So Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Strawther eventually all need to be extended. And I know that this is the offseason of Brown and, Peyton Watson. And the report is that the low end of Christian Braun's extension is going to be $25 million per year. I don't mind it. I think he deserves it. And I think that people will disagree strictly because, I don't know, they don't think that he's the greatest player because they're not Nuggets fans. They don't watch his game. They don't realize how efficient he was, how great he is on defense, the impact that he brings. He's a proven winner. He's won at every single level, and that's something I've loved about him since he came. That's something I continue to talk about. He's a guy who, in high school, won a championship. In college, won a championship. Comes to the NBA his rookie year off the bench, and nobody really thought he was going to be impactful, and wins a championship. So he deserves the money he's going to get. There's no saying that he's not gonna, realistically, or he doesn't deserve it. $25 million seems high, just because Denver's going to be in another position where they were with MPJ a few years ago, where not that Christian Braun's not good or he doesn't deserve the money he's going to get. They're paying so many people so much money, right? Zeke Naji still has a year left on his deal after this upcoming year. Jonas Valanciunas has another year left on his deal after this upcoming year. You got guys like Bruce and Tim on just above vet minimums. So I think that they're in a position where if it's all or nothing right now. It's boom or bust, and that's just the harsh reality of it. If they don't win this year, I think that they might be in a position where Jamal might be on the chopping block. Not because he's not good, but because you got to get $50 million off your books. I believe there was a report that came out that if they, get rid of Zeke, get rid of Val, they're still, with the Brown extension, they're still going to be over the second apron. So there's no way to get under it, and giving Brown that money, the money that he deserves, is tough because obviously, there's going to be inflation in the NBA. Or not inflation, but, raise salary caps and all that. And obviously people per year are going to make more money. Jokic has the Supermax extension coming up this offseason, so that makes me nervous too because then we're going to lock him down for another potential 5 years. So, like I said, I think that Brown deserves it, but I think there's so much more going into this decision for Denver than there really was. And I think that Brown wants to be here. They want, Brown to be here. I covered this during the pressers where they said that they've talked to Brown. He understands. And I thought maybe that meant it was going to be a little bit of a lower, number, but I don't think so. I think that we're sort of stuck at the $25 to $30 million range. And from there, it just goes to what they're going to give somebody else like Peyton Watson, what he deserves. And I think that's all based on how he performs this year. And that's what I want to get into now is the last report I saw is that they're nowhere near a deal or not getting a deal done with Peyton Watson. That could be false. That could just be, an initial report. But I hope they do. I hope that they could get something done where they bring in Brown. But if they bring in Brown, the number for Watson can't be high. And I think that he's going to want more money because he thinks he's worth it, especially because of how hard he's worked this offseason to become a better offensive player and what he brings to the table defensively. Now, can you replace Watson with a value brand or an older Christian Watson? Sure you can. You can go out in the offseason. You can get, Amir Coffey this upcoming season if he's a free agent. You get Derrick Jones Jr. somehow, whether that's trade, depending on his contract, or you sign him, whatever. Do I think that's worth it? No, I think that you should try to go all out and get Peyton Watson. But that also means that Julian Strawther may not be a Denver Nugget anymore after a year or two. So I think that, like I said, Denver's in such a weird position where you sort of need to pray that these guys come back. Looking down the contracts, you have Jokic right now locked up to 27-28. You have Jamal Murray, who's currently 28 years old, locked up until 28-29, and 28-29 he's going to be making $57 million. AG also locked up till 28-29, only making $39 million. So he'll be making, let's say Brown's contract, his extension goes up to about $9 million, or an extra $9 million per his last season. He'll be making the same amount as AG, which I think is fair. Cam Johnson's locked up till the end of 26-27, making 23. Val is obviously 26-27, making 10. Zeke Naji is on contract. Granted, this is all options and whatnot. He has a player option in 27-28 for another $7 million. Then you have Brown and Watson expiring this year. You have Deron Holmes expiring 27-28, but you have Strother expiring next year. And then when it comes to guys who are on their minimums, you have Bruce Brown, you have Moses Brown, you have Kessler Edwards, who obviously are fighting for that last roster spot. You have Tim Hardaway Jr., and then you have Pickett and Tyson, who next year their contracts are gonna be over too. So there's so much to get done, and there's not a lot of money to do it. So I think that, brace yourself for losing Peyton Watson and Strother potentially, and just going back with those vets and a core. There's no other way to get around it without trading Jamal Murray. So I think that we sort of have to brace ourselves to lose them. Do I want to brace them myself? No, obviously not. But at the same time, what else are we going to do? There's nothing else you can do. The guy's making $59 million in 4 years or 3 years. So there's nothing you can do without trading either him or Jokic, and I don't see either of them getting traded. Maybe in 2 years' time, we don't bring back Cam Johnson, or we make a move that moves a guy like AG, which obviously there's nothing. You don't want to break up that core because that core is so good, but you also have to compete with teams like the Rockets, teams like the Thunder, teams like the Clippers, who have this, this 10, 12-man depth, and they're all not Clippers, obviously, but majority of the teams are younger or will have them on cheaper deals for the upcoming years. So Denver's in a very weird position again, especially with the update for Christian Brown. But I am excited to see where that update goes and for that news to officially come out. The next thing I want to talk about is just the injury bug within the league, and it strikes again, man. TJ McConnell got hurt, so now the Pacers are searching for another guard, which I know I covered. They brought in Campaign just because him and DeLon Wright went down. LeBron is missing the upcoming the first week of the season. Ja Morant got hurt. There are so many injuries in the beginning of the season, and I feel like the Grizzlies have just been cursed with injury. The Grizzlies, Zach Edey, Jared Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, Ja Morant, all hurt to start the season, or towards the beginning of the season. LeBron's going to miss opening day. So in the Western Conference, if you miss 2 weeks of basketball and your team can't win in those 2 weeks without you, you're not in a good position, because the West, all it takes is for you to lose 4 games in the beginning of the season, and that will determine your outcome for that play-in, because the West is so stacked. A team like the Lakers, and I know that they have Luka, they have their guys, they have Reeves, they have Ayton, they have Jake LaRavia, Rui Hachimura. They can potentially win games. But if they miss out on 4 games, a team like the Spurs can shock everybody and come up and make it. A healthy Pelicans team can come up and randomly make the playoffs. So you're in a position where these teams that are decent can come up and make a run realistically, where they win out 4 games of the season. And because the Lakers were missing somebody, because the Grizzlies were missing somebody earlier in the year, those 4 games were the biggest games of the season, because the Spurs just won out 4 games and now they're in the playoffs. So I think those losses for people are massive, especially in the Western Conference. Eastern Conference, not so much, especially for the Pacers. No offense. I love TJ McConnell. I hope he heals. But they're struggling with their injuries anyway, and I think that they're a fringe playing team at this point without Tyrese Halliburton. But I do want to get into my next point, which actually includes a Spurs player, and that is the most improved player award this year and who will win it. I got a couple guys. I got 5 guys on my radar that are going to win it. Actually, the first 2 are the twins. Asarin and Amen Thompson. I think both of them are in a position to win it, especially with the Fred VanVleet injury. I think that Amen could take that leap. I also was thinking about Şengün winning it, just because he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more per possession, but I don't think that he will win it. I think that if it's going to go to anybody, it's going to be Amen, because we're going to have to see an offensive leap from Amen. Same thing with Asar. You lose Tim Hardaway Jr., you lose potentially Malik Beasley if they don't get him back. I think that he's in a position where you have to have the ball more. You have to help out Cade Cunningham more. You have to be more of an offensive threat. You're already one of the top defensive threats in the NBA at the guard forward position. So you're going to have to do something where you have to prove yourself offensively, both of them, where maybe you see a leap in their shooting percentage, or maybe you see a leap in their points per game and field goal percentage and their efficiency. But one of them has to do something, and that will lead to one of them being in the top 3 in most improved voting, in my opinion. The next guy is Andrew Nembhard. I think that without Halliburton, without potentially McConnell, they're bringing in just vet point guards to fill in that void. I think that he's going to have the ball in his hands, and I think that he's going to be a scorer. And I think, throughout the offseason, they came out and they said that, Nembhard's going to be our point guard. He's going to be our ball handler. He's going to be our ball dominant player. So I see Nembhard taking a massive leap, especially with a guy like Siakam guiding him, as a veteran on the court with him. I think he could be in a good position. And I think that losing Miles Turner too hurts offensively, but I do think Jay Huff is pretty good. And not that he's great, but he's a value brand Miles Turner. He does the same thing, blocks shots, finishes at the rim, shoots. I think he could be good, but I think that Nembhard's going to need to take a massive leap offensively in order for him to be in that conversation. But I think he does that because he's going to be ball dominant this year. The next two guys are guys. Well, the next guy is a younger guy, so Matas Buzelis. I see that the potential's there. I mean, dude, he's a freak. He's amazing. He plays defense, hits threes, lengthy body, could finish at the rim. I think his explosiveness can get him there. I think he's 1 or 2 years short from winning the award. I think that maybe you see a leap to him averaging 17, 18 points per game, but I don't know if he's at the tier with the guys I just named. I think that he would be the 4th or 5th voter or in voting. And then the last guy who, mid-tier guy in this voting, but I think Denny Avdia. I think that he could, I mean, again, you lose Ain, which whatever. But you bring in a guy like Drew Holiday who can help you. He's a pass-first point guard who plays defense. He's not looking to score. He can work around getting you open and getting you the ball. Scoot Henderson's hurt, so he's going to miss some time. But that gives Denny an opportunity to score more. It gives him an opportunity to show that he is as good of a player as he's getting paid to be. So I think Denny is probably middle of the pack. I think that, I don't know who my favorite is. I think I have to evaluate it even more and think about the situations. Right now, I think that maybe Amen Thompson is my favorite to win it, but I think that it's very close between Amen and Nembhard. I just think that it's going to go to somebody who's on a way better team rather than somebody who just chucks up shots on a worse team. So that's why I'm at Amen, but Asar Thompson could also be up there. But I think right now, in my opinion, my list from 1 to 5, Amen Thompson, Andrew Nembhard, Asar Thompson, Denny Avdia, maybe Denny over Asar actually, and I got Matas at the 5. But that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys want me to cover anything, let me know down below. I'm going to get to my early season predictions for some awards in the next couple episodes as well. Until the Nuggets play again, I will catch you guys tomorrow.